If you ever wanted to grow those long, crisp daikon radishes in your backyard, whether it's for soups, for pickles, or for that crunch, let me show you how. Why do I like growing daikon radishes? I love growing daikon radishes because it's fairly easy to grow and they're quick to grow too. After germination, around 60 days, you'll be able to harvest them. A great time to sow the seeds would be in fall or winter here in Southern California, and then also in early spring. They do love full sun and loose soil. Daikon radish is actually a great crop for loosening up clay soil, so you can also do that, but they will get longer and bigger in loose soil. You always want to direct sow daikon radishes seeds. They don't transplant well. They are a long-rooted crop and will damage the roots. I would plant the seeds about ½ inch deep or so, and then 2 inches apart, and then thin them about 6 inches apart after they germinate. So growing and maintaining, we want to make sure we water consistently. Don't let the soil dry out. You can also fertilize the soil and the plant. Just try to avoid any fertilizer that's really high in nitrogen. The more nitrogen, you just get more of the leafy greens instead of the roots. So balanced fertilizer is a lot better instead of a high nitrogen fertilizer. We also want to watch for pests. There's a lot of aphids that like radish leaves, so you can also use row covers to help with the aphids. So I'm using gloves because they are pretty prickly, but this has been in here a little over 60 days. So let's see where they're at. Oh, that looks really good. Another thing too is you don't want to wait too long to harvest because sometimes the center will be really woody. Look at that one. These are good sizes, actually perfect size, because I want to make some pickles. So another thing to look out for is in your soil. If you have really good potting soil, soft, fluffy soil, you wouldn't have to worry about forking. We didn't have that issue, which is really great. But forking is when the taproot, which this root here would kind of split into 2 or even 3 sections, and that's not a problem. You could still eat the radish, but it's just a little bit harder to kind of peel and process, but it's still edible and very delicious. This is gonna be so good in pickles. Daikon radish, my favorite, probably the only radish I grow. I'm gonna make my favorite pickle, daikon radish. It's a Korean style. Cut the tops off and get this prepped, peeled. And I think I'm gonna do some little matchsticks. I mean, thicker than a matchstick, but slices. After I cut it, I'm gonna salt it and let it sit for about 30 minutes just so I could remove some of the water. So in about 30 minutes, it'll have a puddle of water and we'll wash it all out and rinse it so that we don't have the extra salt.
Later.
So here's a list of all of the ingredients on this recipe, or you could check out my website. The link is below. It also has the recipe there too. So I'm gonna make the marinade. Really simple. I have some hot water, and then we're gonna do some turmeric, some sugar. Looks like a lot, because it is. But we're not gonna be eating all that sugar. It's just gonna be in the water. The radish will soak up some of it, but not all of it. And then 1 cup of rice vinegar. Where did my 2 of these? Okay. So I use hot water to dissolve the sugar. I didn't really want to boil it. This does the same trick. but without having to boil it. And then we're just gonna pour it on top. So once it's cooled down, I like to store this in the fridge. It'll be good the next day, or you can leave it as long as a few weeks, but the longer it stays in the fridge, the tastier it'll get. All right, it's been a few days now since we've marinated and pickled this radish. I've been trying it out every few days just to see what level of marination I like it at. For me, it's around 7 days, so let's give it a try. I especially love how crunchy it is. It's little sour from the vinegar, sweet with the sugar, but really light and refreshing. Some of my favorite ways to eat this is with Korean barbecue. It's a great side dish. And then my favorite way is actually in gimbap. This is a Korean style sushi. Gives that light, crunchy texture in there. It brings me back a lot of memories. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned something, and hopefully try some of this daikon radish and its pickles. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below. I'll see you next time in the garden. Bye!